Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Today we're going to be doing A-Level Maths Part 3. In this video we go over linear inequalities, since quadratic inequalities will be next episode. Please do subscribe, but otherwise we're going straight into the video. Let's begin the first question. Shade the region y is greater than 2x plus 1. As you can see, I've already done the graph, but don't pay any attention to that, just listen to the explanation. So, you might remember y equals mx plus c, the formula for a straight line. This might look awfully similar to you. If you think, oh, why don't we just set this as an equals, you're completely correct. If you just make this y equals 2x plus 1, then that'll make it a world easier than you. And if you remember, m stands for gradient or slope, c stands for y-intercept. So then you would make this a line. And as you can see, this has a gradient of 2 and it should start at 1, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, that was a bad mistake. Okay, so now that you've made this, you might be thinking, oh, but it's equal to, so don't we have to make this again a inequality? And also say shades the region, not just create a line that is of the equation. And yes, we have to do that. So first, what you might think is, since it's greater than, you just have to shade in the top part, which is above the line. But it's actually a bit more complicated than that. Well, that's correct for now. When you have a parabola, would you know you wouldn't really know to shade the outside or the inside, since that's kind of difficult just to intuitively know. So what I do is I test the origin, because if the origin doesn't work, then that would mean it's above, since this is the below and origin is below the line. So 0, 0 wouldn't work. We substitute y for 0 and x for 0. 0x is just 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. So 0 is greater than 1. That is completely wrong. So, thus we can say that the top part is, we should shade the top part. And you might be wondering, what? Why is that line not solid? Well, the thing is, when you have a inequality that's like this, which is just greater than or just less than, you have to make a dotted line. Otherwise, they wouldn't give you the mark, because that means that it's not inclusive of the line. Since it's greater than, it doesn't count if they're equal to. So it's not inclusive of that line. That line, it's anything that's above the line, not including the line. But if it were to be a straight line that's solid, then it would have to be equal to or greater than. So equal to or greater than, or equal to or less than. And since this is just greater than or less than, which in this case is greater than, we have to make this a non-solid line, a dotted line. This is really important that you remember, since no examiner would give you a mark for this if you didn't do the dotted line. This is important. Okay, now let's get started with the really difficult question. Label the region R that satisfies all three inequalities. X plus y is equal to or less than 6, y is equal to or greater than x plus 2, and x is greater than 1. Now, what we did earlier was we would just change this to an equal sign and it would all be sorted. Sadly, this is kind of an odd question, since this isn't in the form of y equals mx plus c. But what you can do is rearrange this. So then we'd get y is equal to negative x plus 6, because we can just put it on the other side. Now, we know that it starts at the y-intercept of 6, and it goes down by 1 each time. So it would reach kind of like here. So that's what we get. And since it's equal to or less than 6, we can just change this to origin 0, 0. So 0 plus 0 is equal to or less than 6. Yes, it is less than. since 0, 0 is here. So now we know that this is the shaded region. Just shade this slightly so I can put R. We have to label this R. And don't forget the fact that this has to be a solid line since it's equal to or less than 6. Next one, y is equal to or greater than x plus 2. Make it y is equal to x plus 2. Sorry. Make it y is equal to x plus 2. And we get, comes here. And it goes up by 1 each time. Now we've only got this part, and since it's is equal to or greater than x plus 2, we just test 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 plus 2 is equal to or less than 0. No, that doesn't work. So now it's this area that is shaded, and that's all that's left. This part won't work, so we just rub that out. So now it's this part that's the only way that works. And next, we have to realize that since it's equal to or greater than, or greater than, yes, it's a solid line. And now for the last one, x is greater than 1. It's a vertical line. Alright. And since it's just greater than, we actually have to make this a not solid line. And this is kind of obvious. Everything that's greater than 1. If you want, you can test the origin, which would be 0 is greater than 1, but that's obviously not correct. 0 is not greater than 1, so this wouldn't work. So it's actually this part that's the last bit standing. So now this is a triangle that we have left, and we label this R. That's the answer. Make sure that this is much more neat. I'm doing this on a whiteboard without any access to a ruler, so this is definitely not as neat as it should be. And make sure that it's more clear that it is dotted. But I think that'll be much easier to do on a real textbook or something. So yes. Well done if you solved that. If you didn't, this was difficult and this was your first time. So still well done. Now, for the last part of this video, we'll be going over set in notation and interval notation. Keep in mind that interval notation you'll have to usually write down, while set notation you'll probably have to read. I'm not saying that set notation won't come up on your exam as in something that you have to write in set notation. I'm not saying that, but it's more likely that interval notation would come up. So let's get started. If you have x is greater than 4, then in set notation you would put this curly bracket, which is like this, kind of like this bracket, but with a little circle, semicircle, or like half circle in the back, but without yet. Just like that, if you can see that. And you put x dot colon where x is greater than 4. That would be read as the set where x is greater than the set of x where x is greater than 4. In the more formal version, you would probably write x is a part of all real numbers, but I don't think you need that exactly for A levels. I think you should get comfortable with x is a part of all of real numbers, but I don't think you'll need set notation like that. And for the next part, if we have x is x is greater than 5 or x is less than 2, then you would have the set of values where x is greater than 5, or which is a union. Sorry, I think I forgot the names, but just that symbol, which means or x where x is less than 2. Now for interval notation, if something is greater than but not equal to, then just greater than, then you would, for example, if we had x is greater than 2, since it's not equal to it's just greater than, then you'd have this normal bracket. But the reason why it's a normal bracket is it's not inclusive. So it just means that it's not inclusive of the number itself. If we had 2, that would mean it's not inclusive of the 2. And if you have equal to or greater than, then it would be this square bracket. And infinity can never be like this. Can never be the square bracket, since infinity, you can never include infinity in a set, because I don't think that's possible. For example, if we had -2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 2, then we'd have square bracket, since it's less than or equal to -2, comma 2, and then there's a curly bracket because it's just less than. Thank you for watching so much. If you stuck around, I'm really grateful. Please do subscribe, as it really helps me. Thank you.